meeting and you had to have a ticket to get in. I don't care what state you in. That's illegal. Your mayor and your city council can't do that. Me, people to get there clueless, like I said. Clueless. The fact that your dang on mayor is sitting there talking about you got to have a ticketed seat to come into City Hall. A ticketed seat. A paid ticketed seat. That's what he needs to be saying, because he paid them people to get them tickets in them seats. A ticketed seat. When have you ever been to a city council meeting and you had to have a ticket to get in? I don't care what state you in. That's illegal. Your mayor and your city council can't do that. That's why we had to end up going out there to Harvey. Anybody that's seen me out there in Harvey and you on YouTube, can you comment right now? Because we went out there to Harvey. And we made sure that them people got their voices heard, because this is exactly what Harvey mayor was trying to do. Trying to close them people out. Trying to tell them that they couldn't talk and they couldn't speak. And if they spoke, that he was cutting the meeting off. So I went with Danny and Zoe. Danny and Zoe went as Chicago Flip Red. I came as an independent person, Patrice L. Stewart. I want somebody who was there, because I need y'all to show me that video, because some people was live. I wasn't filming that day, but I had gave a whole speech out there to them people at Harvey. And I want somebody to send me the video who was there. That's why I'm asking whoever was at Harvey, if you saw me out there and you was recording, I need you to send me that recording, because I gave an amazing speech to them people out there. What happened was, we was in there. That mayor saw Chicago Flip Red shirt, because y'all know Danny and Zoe always got they brand on, right? That's what they supposed to do. Once we create a brand, you wear your brand. That's what they supposed to do. But if you notice, when I was there, I had my own shirt on, Book Smart, Street Smart. Or I had Financially Sexy. I had my black and white shirt on, one of the two. I had my own brand on. But we went there. And the moment that Danielle was about to get on the mic, that mayor shut the whole meeting down. And they told all of us that we had to leave. And we were telling those seniors, it was mostly senior black people there. And this is why I said, y'all got to reprogram y'all grandparents, because they come from that era of the civil rights where they were afraid. They were scared to speak up. They were okay with letting the white, they had, when they were told to leave, they didn't want to cause a ruckus. So they would just bow their heads and go on ahead and walk out. That's what those singers started doing. And me, Danielle, and Zoe, we started screaming, don't leave the auditorium. Stay y'all asses here. Stand your ground, because they cannot lock all of you up and they cannot put all of you out if you stand your ground. And so again, some of them grandmamas and them grandfathers, they start walking out with their little head down. Come on, y'all. We gotta go. And we like, no, you do not have to leave. If you leave, then you allowing them to violate your rights. But if you stand your ground, they cannot do that. So they did. They started trying to push everybody out. We were the last 3 to walk out. And it was about 10 police officers there. All of them black, because Harvey black. It was about 10 police officers there. And I looked all of them police officers in their face and I said, these people pay y'all taxes. These people pay y'all taxes and pay y'all. I said, these people pay y'all salary. I said, y'all got the nerve to let this mayor disrespect them and put them up out of here, and y'all not going to speak up about it? And they was just looking and they was like, how you know we okay with it? You okay with it because you standing here following what this motherfucker doing. So one of the sergeants, he started walking down behind us. And when we walked out the door, I stood right there at the door. And he locked the door on me. And I started banging on the door. And I said, let us back in here. They got the right to come in here and speak. And then I started banging on the door. I said, let us the fuck back in here. We got the right to be here. They got the right to hear their voices. They got their right for their voices to be heard. So people started walking away and going to their car. And so we started telling them to stand in front of the building. Do not leave. Do not go get in your cars and leave, because that's the problem. If you allow them to put you out the building, if you go walk off, then nothing gonna change, right? So some people did leave, but some people listened, and some people stood there, and some people congregated, because we were right there in front of Harvey's City Hall, and we were talking to them. And then I started talking to them. I was so mad. I was so heated. I was so pissed off. I started banging on that door. The cops just standing there looking. They all on the inside. They talking amongst each other. But I started banging on the door, and I said, y'all need to open up this motherfucking door. We not going nowhere. Open up this motherfucking door. Open up this motherfucking door. And they just looking. And I said, I turned around to them people that was standing out there, and I told them, I said, if y'all don't rise up, if y'all don't quit allowing these people to play up in y'all faces and close y'all mouth, if y'all don't rise the fuck up, y'all ancestors is here. Y'all ancestors built this country. And a little girl came over there, and she stood by me, and she said, I feel safe with you here. She said, you got a powerful voice. I feel safe with you here. And she stood by me. And we stood out there for a solid 20 to 30 minutes. A solid 20 to 30 minutes beating on the door, telling them that they had to open up the door to let these people back in to be heard. Guess who opened up the door? Guess who got let back into that City Hall meeting? Guess. The citizens of Harvey. The ones that stood there with us and did not leave, did not walk off, did not get deterred away. We were standing out there probably a solid 30 minutes waiting, banging on that door, telling them to open up that motherfucking door. And guess who got back in the door? Guess who got back in the door? Guess who went and had their City Hall meeting? But guess who they would not allow back into the room? We didn't care. I didn't care that they wouldn't get. They let everybody back in, 10 at a time. The black sergeant came down and opened up the door. He seen that them people wasn't leaving. He see that they were sitting there listening to us, making them stand on business. And guess what happened? They got let back in that City Hall. Yeah, it may have taken 30 minutes, but guess what? They opened the motherfucking doors. Because when you know your rights, and when you speak up for yourself, and you stand on business, whether it's a mayor, an alderman, a governor, a president, and you let them motherfuckers know you know your rights, they can't take that away from you. They can't take that away from you. So them people in Harvey got let back up in that meeting. And they had their meeting. I bet you that. So while you on here writing your think pieces and your paragraphs, like I said, that shit don't mean nothing to me if you ain't never been and stood on no front line for nobody. If you ain't never going to help nobody have their voices heard and lifted up. If you ain't never been to a City Hall meeting, whether it was Chicago, LA, Harvey, wherever, your weak ass opinions on here of me don't mean shit to me.